Who is that?
Christopher Walken. Actually, it's me doing an impression of Bernie's impression of Christopher Walken.
It's terrible.
Bernie's is terrible. Mine's right on.
Forget it.
Nobody plans to do a Christopher Walken impression, it just happens. One moment you're talking normally, and the next, your sentences start drifting into strange pauses, unexpected emphasis, and suddenly you're speaking like Hollywood's most unintentionally iconic voice. That's the power of Christopher Walken. He's not just an actor. He's a phenomenon, a rhythm, a cadence that lives in every comedian's brain, rent-free. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Even the biggest stars in Hollywood have fallen into the trap of trying to imitate him. Not because they're mocking him, but because his voice is just that infectious. And somehow, it always starts the same way.
Depends on what you like me to say. Basically, there's no punctuation. Anything that comes out of my mouth.
A pause, a stare, and then, I think, you know, what this scene needs is a little something. And just like that, it begins. The voice that became a comedy shortcut. Christopher Walken's voice isn't just an accent, it's a structure, a pattern, a rhythm that feels like every sentence is being discovered in real time. And comedians absolutely love it. Because once you start doing Walken, you don't need punchlines anymore. The voice is the joke. One actor once described it perfectly. It's like every word is important, but also none of them are connected in any normal way. And that's exactly why it works. Even casual conversations turn into performances. I went to the store.
Mind, then it's best for the quartet to, if this drug works and I'm able to play well enough by then, I'd like the season's first concert to be my farewell.
And I saw a banana, and I thought, that's interesting. Nobody knows why it's funny. It just is. When Hollywood stars can't help themselves. You'd think trained actors could resist it. You'd be wrong. Because once Christopher Walken enters a room, physically or just mentally, people start slipping into the impression automatically. One actor described meeting him in person and said the moment Walken spoke, reality shifted tempo. Not speed, tempo. Like the world suddenly started breathing in a different rhythm. Another comedian once said, "You don't do Walken. Walken does you," and that might be the most accurate description ever. Because even serious, dramatic actors have been caught mid-interview, suddenly dropping into that unmistakable cadence.
Years ago,
That wedding was so nuts. I recall we stole the ice sculpture. I wonder what happened to it.
I don't know, it probably melted.
Slow, measured, strangely confident, and always slightly unpredictable. The impression that spreads like a virus. What makes the Christopher Walken impression so dangerous is how easily it spreads in group settings. One person starts it, then another responds, and within minutes a normal conversation becomes an entire scene from a surreal movie nobody remembers auditioning for. It usually starts with something innocent like, "So I was thinking about lunch," and suddenly someone interrupts. Lunch is important, you know, because food is food. At that point, it's over. There is no recovery. The room belongs to Walken. The Cowbell effect. There's one legendary sketch that pushed Walken impressions into internet immortality. After that, he didn't just become an actor people admired, he became a universal joke template. Now, anytime someone hears a cowbell, or even thinks about rhythm, the Walken impression appears. Uninvited, unstoppable, unnecessary, and completely hilarious. Even musicians have admitted that after working with him, They couldn't stop hearing his voice when counting beats.
I cannot do Christopher Walken, which everyone can do Christopher Walken.
Some people do him.
Yeah, he's like a guy that everyone does.
But don't be too hard on yourself, Bill. You actually do a pretty good.
Walken's impression is easy to start, but impossible to master. Anyone can slow down their speech. Anyone can add pauses. But what makes it funny isn't just the timing, it's the confidence behind it. The way every sentence feels like a conclusion, even when it's not finished yet. A beginner impression sounds like, I am walking to the door. But a great one sounds like, I'm walking to the door, and the door is also walking. It makes no sense. That's the point. The celebrity trap, once you try it, you can't stop. There's a running joke in Hollywood that no matter how serious the conversation is, someone will eventually break into Walken. Award shows.
Lovely kid, but he just finds it very difficult to get up.
Yeah.
So he always says to me, I really need to be somewhere tomorrow. Would you give me a call? And I'll go in and wake him up as Chris Walken, you know, and I say, Goey, come on, you gotta get up, it's crazy.
Interviews, backstage moments, even rehearsals. It sneaks in when nobody is ready. One actor famously said that during a tense filming scene, a co-star leaned in and whispered, I think this character needs more cowbell energy, and the entire take was ruined. Nobody recovered. Even Walken knows. What makes all of this even funnier is that Christopher Walken himself is fully aware of it. He's seen the impressions, he's heard them, and instead of being annoyed, he leans into the cultural chaos he accidentally created. Because at this point, Walken isn't just a person, he's a performance language, a shared joke between millions of people who have never met, but somehow speak the same strange dialect when they imitate him.
As a servant of the Imperium, you will bow at my feet.
Your feet! You'll be lucky to keep your head.
The secret behind the impression. Comedians often say there are 3 rules to doing Walken right. Pause unexpectedly. Emphasize the wrong word. Act like everything you say is extremely important, even when it isn't. For example, I went to the supermarket and I saw a discount on bananas, which felt significant. And suddenly, it's comedy gold. Why it never gets old. Most impressions fade over time. But Walken? He evolves. New generations discover him through movies, interviews, clips, and then immediately try the impression without even being taught. It's instinctual now. Like a reflex. Like a comedic inheritance passed down through internet culture.
This is brilliant. And so I printed out the script, and I'd read it to my mom when we drove up to auditions or acting class or that sort of thing. And so it would be like somebody would pull up and I'd be a 12-year-old kid saying to his mom, you know, for 5 long years, I carried this watch up my ass.
He became exactly that. A rhythm. A mood. A walking, comedic template. And no matter how many years pass, no matter how many new stars rise, one thing will always remain true. Somewhere, in some room, someone will pause mid-sentence, look around, and say, you know, I think we need more cowbell. And just like that, the impression lives again.